Okay,
but we'll be ready in September.
great. Okay, thank you.
Call this Township Parsippany-Troy holds regular Township Council meeting of August 17th, 2021 to order.
That's not the dash line.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the municipal building on December 8th, 2020, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in the Daily Record and the Newark Star Ledger on December 22nd, 2020, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 18th, 2020. Council meetings are videotaped and aired on Public Access Channel 21 at 7 p.m. Sundays and Wednesdays, and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net. Would you all join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These chairs are hard to move. Roll call, please.
Mr. Karifi?
Here.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes,
Ms.
here.
McCarthy?
Here.
Ms. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. DePiero?
Here.
Also in attendance are Mayor Michael Soriano, Business Administrator Fred Carr, CFO Juan Uribe, Township Attorney Jim Lott, and Township Clerk Colette Madden. Council President, we have a quorum. You may begin.
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, September 7th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Agenda meeting, September 21st, 2021 at 7 p.m. A regular meeting. Approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion.
Second, Grignani.
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Presentations and reports. Mayor?
Thank you. Good evening, Parsippany. COVID-19 case numbers as of today within the township are 4,401. That's an increase of 26 cases in the past week. Now, here's the other part with some sunshine, okay? Vaccinations in Parsippany as of August 13th. And someone needs to get their Ring camera. There you go.
Yes, that's it.
People with one shot, people in Parsippany that have received at least one shot, 79% of all eligible Parsippany residents, that's 12 and older, have at least one shot. 79%. That's way higher than the national average, way higher than the state average. Now, overall, 99% of Parsippany residents over the age of 65 have at least one shot. Now, fully vaccinated, 72% of all eligible residents have been fully vaccinated. 72. That's very good and promising. And 95% of residents aged 65 and over have been fully vaccinated. However, we have all been paying attention to the news, I'm sure. And thank you, everyone that's wearing a mask, for wearing a mask today. And I'm hoping that you're all vaccinated. If you have any vaccine hesitancy, all I ask is that you talk to your doctor. Don't listen to any celebrity, athlete, performer, politician, or anyone about the vaccine. Listen to your personal physician, your doctor, okay? Other news. We had an Indian flag raising over the weekend. And it was our 4th year doing it, celebrating India's 75th year of independence. It was live streamed and it's available on demand on the Township website and Facebook page. There will be a wider program with more people there, as well as an address from Cory Booker, Senator Menendez, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, and Phil Murphy and Tammy Murphy. And I said Tammy Murphy last because, as you notice, I got higher on the totem pole as we went, and anyone who knows Tammy knows that she is the real deal. the township will also be presenting that full cultural program, hopefully on August 21st, which will be available online. Okay. We have an initiative here about the spotted lanternfly. We've received emails about this. There's been a lot of questions about it. It's called Stomp Out the Spotted Lanternfly. The township has heard a few reports from residents identifying the spotted lanternfly in our township. This insect has the potential to greatly impact agricultural crops and hardwood trees. To report a sighting, call 833-4-BAD-BUG. That's 833-4-BAD-BUG, or 833-422-3284. And if you have any questions, you can email SLF for spotted lanternfly, plant industry at ag.nj.gov. And last but not least, September 6th is Labor Day. Town Hall will be closed. Now, keep in mind, September 6th at sundown, Rosh Hashanah. The township wishes everyone a blessed Rosh Hashanah for all who celebrate at this time. And that's all I have for now. Thank you, Mr. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Township Council, anybody have a report on Township Council?
No, not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, moving on. Township Attorney.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 closed session items as noted on the agenda, and I'll also draw council's attention to the fact that one of those items will be discussed in closed session. That's the Catarbolata settlement, and we propose to take action after closed session with respect to Resolution 2021-134.
Okay, thank you. Business Administrator?
Yes, Council President. My item tonight on the New Jersey Food Council's plastic bag ordinance enforcement. I had previously sent to Council on the 6th of August a request for an extension of our timeline, and they have a representative on the phone tonight who wishes to address Council.
Okay.
Connor, you there?
Yeah, can everybody hear me all right?
All right, go ahead.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Hold on. Ready?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
As an attorney.
All right, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, go ahead.
Good?
See that?
All right.
Made it work.
All right. Thanks, everybody. My name's Connor Schmagel. I'm the Associate Director of Public Affairs for the New Jersey Food Council. We're a trade association that represents grocery stores, convenience stores, and food distributors. So that's all your local Wawas, your Quick Check, your Acme's, and ShopRites. First and foremost, I just wanted to thank all of you for allowing me to talk to you tonight, and also for accommodating and allowing me to call in. I believe, as the business administrator said, that what we're requesting is for a further delay of enforcement of the ordinance. As you know, we've been finding ourselves in a national and statewide nightmare for at least the last year and a half. And as our members try to deal with various ordinances throughout the state of New Jersey, we've been running into various issues. Of late, in dealing with this ordinance, the reason why we asked for a further delay is we know for a fact that at least 1 or 2 of our members will not be able to be in compliance on the new enforcement date, which I believe is September 8th, 2021. And the reason being is because currently there's a major reusable and paper bag shortage, and part of that is because Philadelphia, New York, the state of New York, and Delaware, the state of Delaware, have all implemented their statewide bans. And there's a major paper bag shortage going on right now. That's one piece. We also have, we know for a fact that Wawa is experiencing a technical error with their app that is going to take them at least 2 months to fix, which would not allow them to be able to sell paper or reusable bags. So it would be a matter of, the enforcement going into effect on September 8th, but them not being able to comply for another 2 months. I don't know what the fine structure would be, but to me, that just wouldn't be feasible for a business in the community. Additionally, we're also dealing with a major labor shortage, which I'm sure, being members of the town, you're all also experiencing, and this has provided a whole host of different issues, including the shortage of bags that have to be made, but also including in our stores not having the proper staff to deal with all these changes. And so at the same time, we have about 8 months, going on just 7 months left to ramp up and prepare all of our stores, all of our member stores in the state of New Jersey for the statewide bag ban, which has been, we're all excited for it. We're all in favor of it. We can't wait for it to go into effect. And we had the same enthusiasm for your ordinance, but because given the circumstances, it's proving to be difficult. So that 7 months that's spent producing a statewide communication campaign, it's trying to troubleshoot any issues we have with e-commerce, online orders, or third-party orders. And so working that out has been quite the hassle. And we're up for the challenge, but in dealing with other ordinances, we just ask for any leniency that we can get. And so a further delay of implementation would definitely be much appreciated. Again, we totally understand the nature in which it was passed. We were hesitant to have a patchwork of different ordinances across the state of New Jersey, hence why we passed the statewide law. But we certainly understand why it was passed in the first place, hence why we were in favor of passing a statewide law. So any leniency, any further delay would be appreciated. I'm happy to answer any questions or set up additional meetings with our members as well as us to address this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the mayor reinstituted enforcement of the plastic bag ban ordinance starting September 8th. I saw his photograph on Focus signing some document. So as far as I'm concerned, since he reinstituted enforcement, it's up to him to recall it or delay it. It's his call.
And I also do want to thank you for delaying it in the first place. At the beginning of this pandemic, everything was just so unpredictable. So we do thank you for that first delay in the first place. Thank you.
So Mayor, it's up to you.
Council doesn't care?
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say you have to decide.
The council doesn't care as a,
Well, council has no objection to the delay?
It's set.
we had no input on enforcement being reinstituted. Why would we have a comment now? The mayor enforced it.
Actually, you did have enforcement. The fact that council was bringing it up, that it should be brought back, is one of the reasons why we wanted to bring it back. But,
All right, then I'll let the
Mr.
council
Council
prevail.
President, I can address it, okay?
I asked for it to be brought up repeatedly,
Yes.
and it was ignored, so
No, it was not ignored.
Yeah,
We
well,
listened to you,
no,
and that's why we're doing it on
No.
September 8th. So, sir, I can understand your hesitation. I know there's a significant amount of money involved in this, but you have had more than enough time, and quite frankly, I don't think that supermarkets have been suffering financially in the past year and a half. Step up and get it done. I am willing to let it delay perhaps a week or two, but I don't see me giving you anything more than that. This is something that
Well, so the
Parsippany
reason why
residents,
we asked
hold on, sir.
delay
This is something Parsippany residents collectively agreed upon, overwhelmingly supported. This council worked very hard to get this finished and voted unanimously in support of it. The administration supports it. The people of Parsippany support it. And one of the biggest supporters of this? A large group of people in town who don't even vote. Our children support this. So I speak for them. I need you to step up and get this done. Okay? You had months to do this. We signaled this very early, that we were doing it September 8th. We were trying to help you and work with you on this, instead of just coming with an arbitrary mandate and saying you must do this by July, whatever. We gave you the summer to prepare. And now you come to me here in the middle of August saying that September 7th is not good enough for you. Sir, I need your industry to be responsible and to step up and do this.
No, absolutely. And that's why our industry was first and foremost in favor of passing the statewide ban, so that way this goes into effect across the state of New Jersey. The reason why we asked for a further delay is for new circumstances that have only come up in the past few months. New York only passed their ban and enforced it. They actually delayed, and that's why the shortage is happening across the state and across multi-states. So we're having these issues not just in the state of New Jersey, but the entire Northeast region. So I completely understand, me being the age of 24, I totally understand, environmental concerns. I'm all personally in favor of that. I agree with that. But I don't know if there's a way maybe we could do a waiver process. I mean, just the simple fact is, I know for a fact that Wawa in particular will not be able to comply for technical reasons. Their app will not be able to sell reusable and plastic bags on that September 8th date. I was given a timeline of about 2 months. If I could get some sort of leniency on behalf of that, just that, potentially we could work with you.
Well, Mayor, you signed this about a week ago, right?
I didn't sign anything a week
Well,
ago.
I saw you signing some document.
That was a photo from about a year ago.
Really?
Okay, yes,
Okay.
okay.
All right. But that was about a week ago, where the announcement was made.
No, the announcement was made at, oh my Lord. We started dropping a lot of this information at I think it was June. I think June we started talking about that
Well,
and got that out.
Well, then they've had,
And then we've had a
Several months.
public information campaign being done by the sanitation enforcement that has been going around to all the businesses speaking on this. It's been out there for quite some time. We wanted to be responsible and give them the time to do it. And I mean, did you not think I wasn't going to enforce this? When I said 3 months ahead of time, I'm going to enforce it? How did you not prepare? I might allow you a week, but right now, I'm not inclined to do that. September 8th is the enforcement.
well, so September 8th is 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
Well, I thought this already came up. I don't know why we had the presentation, because it already came up, and I believe the council president already rejected it, right? I mean, you said it was up to the mayor before.
Yeah, well, I addressed it to our business administrator that, since the mayor reactivated it, it's up to him to either rescind it or enforce it.
Yeah, so I
That is correct, that the gentleman did ask to speak to council.
And that's
He has
fine.
that right.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
that's why we've put him on the agenda, because he
And
wanted to talk.
that's perfectly correct.
Yes.
Any other questions or statements for Connor?
I have a question for Connor.
This is our township attorney, Connor, that's going to ask the question.
Okay.
Good evening. When does the state law become effective?
That comes into effect May 4th,
May 4th.
2022.
Right.
About 8 months, not including August, 7 months. So in 7 months, this ordinance will not, it'll get sunsetted by the statewide law.
Correct. Right.
Maybe perhaps I should get you the calculations of how many plastic bags will be put into our drinking water and trashing up our areas in 7 months.
And I'm perfectly aware, like I said, personally, I'm entirely in favor of it. It's just a matter of time. That's why, the reason why we put a 2-year ramp up in the statewide law is that it's just so complicated. And also being such an innovative state as we are, we're working with New Jersey DEP to try to come up with a dissolvable bag that is safe for the environment. It's just a matter of time. It's a difficult situation, and I understand the circumstances.
By the way, on
are
a non
tough for you.
sequitur, I would love to see the science on a dissolvable bag and how that's not going to affect my child's drinking water. But,
It's made of cornstarch.
yeah, we could also talk about the health effects of eating cornstarch as well. But, side note, September 8th is the date that we have right now in the books. I will say this, I will confer with my staff and see if I can possibly move it back a week or two, but I will tell you, right now, I am not inclined to do that at all. We have our enforcement set for September 8th. I intend to do that. I'm sorry if it seems harsh to you, but as the chief law enforcement officer in a lot of ways in Parsippany, we have to do this.
The gentleman,
And I'll admit that this doesn't seem harsh to me because, I mean, this wasn't the original enforcement date. It was earlier than that. So
Yes, it
I
was.
completely understand why you're being so firm. That the reason why we have new points to add is because there are more unforeseen circumstances that we didn't have originally. We brought this up with the town of Stafford, and Stafford has decided they're not going to enforce their ordinance at all. They're just going to wait for the statewide ban to take effect. It's just, again, I completely understand why you have to be firm with it, but there's just circumstances that we have not foreseen. And I know for a fact that our Wawa is not going to be able to comply until 2 months after that. Does that mean that the town of Parsippany is going to fine Wawa on a weekly basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis, because they cannot comply with the ordinance?
It's the law.
That's the question that I was going to ask. If Wawa cannot abide by this
And they
law-
won't be able to comply on September 8th.
Okay, and we will be fining them, we being the Township of Parsippany, will be fining Wawa because they do not have plastic bags or they do not have the proper baggage to give their clients? Is this, just as the gentleman says, are we going to be fining them on a weekly basis, a monthly basis? Has any thought gone into any of the other establishments that cannot meet this requirement of September the 8th?
You know, sometimes the old ways are best. Okay, so let's keep this in mind. Plastic bags came in to replace paper bags. Okay? They said that it was, way back then, they told us that it would save the trees because there would be less trees being cut down to make paper bags. After years of that, we found out that was rubbish. Okay? But the paper bags, when those were brought in, those were replacing canvas bags and bags that grandma brought to the supermarket, or the supermarket would simply deliver things in cardboard boxes. There is a way to do this. Human beings, Americans, are very creative. We are problem solvers. This can be done. Wawa is not exactly a place where people go shopping for lots of groceries. They go there, they get an iced tea and a bag of Doritos. The bag of Doritos is already in a bag. The iced tea doesn't need to be in the plastic bag. They can carry things out. They can bring their own bag. You'll find a way.
Okay, I think we've discussed this enough. Let's move on.
Okay, so before we move on, Council President, so no other questions? This way I can just let Connor know and he can, sign off.
Just one closing comment on the law. I don't have the ordinance in front of me today.
I was trying to remember if we had a fine in there or not.
Yeah, so there is a penalty provision. And unfortunately, I didn't bring the code book today. The only night I don't have my code book. But I believe that the first violation is a warning, all right? And then
Yes.
I think that there's a graduated monetary violation. In terms of what council can do, I mean, as was pointed out, the state law will supersede the local ordinance as of May of 2022. Now, the council is free to change the law.
Yes.
And that would require an ordinance to amend the date, and that's something that council may wish to consider. The original suspension of enforcement, I believe, occurred as the result of an administrative order or a policy memo from the administrator. This was at the height of pandemic.
Correct.
There was a recognition that, we wanted people to be able to shop and shop conveniently during the pandemic. So we exercised some discretion and we directed our enforcement officials not to enforce the law. As the mayor said, the new enforcement date is now September 8th.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns for
Well, any
Connor?
council
And-
members want to change the ordinance?
But wait,
No.
hold on, Mr. Lott, for the record. some of the people enforcing that rules would have been the health officers.
Correct.
And considering the pandemic, the focus was on the health officers doing contact tracing instead of enforcing the plastic bag ban.
That's absolutely correct. We had to recognize that we only had so many people in health, and we had to devote them immediately to, to pandemic response.
My apologies, Mr. Council President.
That's all right. Just to close the issue, are there any council members that want to change the ordinance?
You know, there's several large chains and small chains and 7-Elevens who have been enforcing it regardless of the fact that the town hasn't been enforcing it. And it's never really been enforced since it was implemented. So, I mean, everybody has had plenty of time, and these other stores are working with it and doing a fine job. I go to Face Values all the time, and they have always either purchase a bag or have your own.
Okay, I just needed to ask the question to clear the air. There is no interest on the part of the council to change the ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, since there's no other questions, concerns, or comments, Connor, thank you for your time, and I guess we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you, Khalid.
All right, have a good one.
Anything else from the business administrator?
No, sir, I had nothing.
Okay, thank you. Township clerk?
No report, Council President, thank you.
Township offices and committees, any reports?
No, I haven't.
None, good.
And correspondence?
None.
Okay, thank you. There are no bids taken or to be taken listed. So now I will entertain a motion to open to the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, the floor is open to the public on any matter. You have 5 minutes.
You have 5 minutes to come forward and speak, sign in, and state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
You can do it one at a time, guys. You don't have to.
You don't have to line up.
Yeah, it's okay.
We're going to make time for all of you.
Not too much time, Council President.
Well,
No, just
make
kidding.
5 minutes of time. 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Debbie Pollitt.
How are you?
Nice to meet you all. I'm here to talk about the garbage on our streets.
Ma'am, could you just state your address?
10 Battle Ridge Road in Powder Mill. It's looking like an inner city. There's so much garbage. People are not using trash cans. They use garbage bags that the animals come and take it apart. They don't clean up after themselves. On a rainy, windy day, stuff is all over the place. It's disgusting. I know we have a town ordinance, we're supposed to use garbage cans. I don't know why we don't enforce that. So that's why I'm asking if you can find a way to enforce it, because it's really, really disgusting.
Can we authorize our DPW to issue warnings or citations?
We'll look into it. And by the way, yes, garbage cans, but with lids.
Yeah.
With lids. That's been a big problem also. That is something to discuss. We have a new director of Public Works right now who has some innovative, creative ideas, but it's not something I can implement tomorrow, to make sure that we cut down on the trash. I've been concerned about this for quite some time because it's residents doing it.
A lot of towns have implemented the garbage trucks that pick up the special garbage cans.
Yes.
And you could only use those garbage cans.
That would require a significant investment.
Yes.
I will tell you that is something we are looking at.
Because this way, they can't put the plastic bags there because they won't get picked up.
Right.
So,
Right. Thank you.
thank you, appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it.
Next.
Debbie.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Kozma. My address is 325 Livingston Street in Bound Brook. I'm the director of the Parsippany Public Library. I'm joined tonight by 4 members of the Library Board of Trustees, Board President Ellen Waldman, Vice President Fred Preston, and Trustees Joe Weisberg and Ro Marola. As you know, the library and the township were awarded a library construction bond grant in the amount of $2,999,000 to build a new Lake Hiawatha branch library. The grant requires matching funds, which the town has already committed to providing. One of the requirements of the grant agreement is to provide proof of these matching funds in the form of a bond ordinance. Originally due March 1st, we were granted an extension based on the extenuating circumstances of the pandemic, and were given until September 1st, just 2 weeks away. On tonight's agenda is the ordinance of appropriation that includes funding for the new Lake Hiawatha Branch Library. I'm here tonight to express the importance and urgency of passing this bond ordinance. In 2017, New Jersey voters approved the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act, which authorized $125 million in state bonds to provide grants for the construction and improvement of public libraries in New Jersey. This was the first time in over 20 years the state would be making money available for libraries. Only 38 libraries were chosen to receive grants out of almost 100 applicants, and we are lucky to be among those selected. And it's easy to see why we were. The Lake Hiawatha branch is a busy library in an ethnically diverse and economically challenged section of town. The existing building is quite old. It's been occupied as a library since 1968 and was last renovated in 1994. The entire infrastructure of the building is deteriorating, including the HVAC system, doors, windows, and more. The air conditioning in the children's room has not been operational for at least 3 years. The interior aisles, restrooms, and exterior ramp are not handicap accessible. The library's been seeking funding since 2010 to improve this much-loved and well-used branch. In 2015, council approved $1.5 million for a renovation. By then, additional improvements were needed, and the cost more than doubled to $3.4 million. In 2018, the construction of a new building, rather than a costly, inefficient renovation of the existing library, was proposed. And in 2020, we applied for the construction bond grant to do just that. The 9,000 square foot Lake Hiawatha branch gets over 100,000 visitors a year, many of them attending programs for kids hosted by our talented team of librarians, or using one of the library's public computers, as many residents in Lake Hiawatha do not have high-speed internet at home. The library is also a popular place for community gatherings and civic meetings. The new Lake Hiawatha branch will be 15,000 square feet and will include an expanded children's room, multiple community meeting spaces, and all of the latest technology, and will allow us to expand all of the vital services we provide. Lake Hiawatha needs and deserves a modern, state-of-the-art library to support the community's information and technology needs, as well as to provide adequate space for gathering and community events. Please vote to approve this bond ordinance so we do not let this opportunity slip away.
Now, tonight, we are just introducing the bond. Does it have to be final? We have to vote on the final draft in September.
Right.
Are they requiring that it just be introduced, or do they need the whole thing?
It needs to be approved, and it needs to be the proof of this.
The funding available at the time?
Well, the proof of the bond ordinance being passed needs to be submitted by September 1st.
Okay. Well, if we had introduced it last month, we would have had no problem. The alternatives I see at this point in time is either we have the mayor and the council president send a letter, draft a letter to say that we have every intention of doing the second reading at our September meeting, and see if that suffices. The only other alternative I can see is that I'll have to call a special meeting by August 31st to do the second reading. I don't see any other alternative.
So I've been in touch with my contacts at the state library who's administering the grants and told her about this issue that we're having. She seems willing to talk to me about it. She said that they would be meeting this week to see what they could do, and I spoke to Mr. Dean today, and he also told me of these options, so I'm hoping that one of those will work.
Council President, if I may, maybe we don't make a decision yet and wait for Ms. Kuzma to speak to them and then get back to me, and then I'll get back to you, and then we could do it that way, possibly, because I think it appears that she's still waiting to hear back from the state.
Well, I'd rather not wait. I'd rather maybe do the letter and have it prepared in case that will work. Mayor?
Yes.
So we'll try that. We'll have the letter ready
Okay.
to go. And if at some point in the next week or so, they say that it cannot be done, we need time legally to advertise for another, special meeting. But we will do that. We support the library.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
approach and,
Sure.
copy of this.
Take one pass it down, Tucker?
No, sir, I have 8 copies for everyone.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Can I begin?
Just when you get to the mic.
Pass everything out.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I got a letter on this.
Thank you, sir.
This was on there.
I saw
Hi,
it.
my name is James Anderson. I live at 56 East Heading Place in Mount Tabor, New Jersey. I moved out here 16 years ago. Shortly after I almost lost my wife in 9/11, running from the buildings. I honored the firemen that I lost and my friends in New York City by becoming a fireman in this town. Thank you. Since then, I work for the town. I work for the sewer utility. I live in Mount Tabor. I've been active in not only with the fire department, but in coaching my son's Little League, rugby, as well as baseball and basketball. He grew up in this town and now is a scholarship athlete in the university at Iona and academic All-American. So thank you, Parsippany, for offering a wonderful place for my family to, become the people we are, I guess. However, during the beautification process here in the Mount Tabor, where I've been very active over the years, Children's Day, to the fire department, et cetera, house tour, garden club for my wife, et cetera. They discovered my drinking water line cuts through my neighbor's property from North Place down to East Heading. It's mislabeled West Heading on your map. And they damaged it. They did not know it was there. It was not in the mark out, all right? It was a surprise to the construction company contracted, and they tore it up. They denied doing that, but they did. They had tore up 2 different water main breaks during their construction of the B inlets and the stormwater drainage runoff, the piping that goes beneath the streets to carry the rainwater away. And then they deny that, but they told me that I'm responsible for replacing that water line from the main on North Place to my house on East Heading. That line is currently right next to Bob Long's house, my friend and neighbor. It goes right beneath his garden, down about 13 feet in elevation, and there's no easement and no right-of-way. I suggested that they run the line up East Heading, my street, right next to the sewer line that runs up East Heading, right next to the gas line that also runs up East Heading, and they said they would not do that. I had a conversation with Sean and Mr. Wiraka, and they were very firm about not wanting to concede to my requests. They said they would give me till this meeting to state my case. Then they threatened me to turn my water off, and then I would have no C of O, or certificate of occupancy. Therefore, my family would be homeless, no water. there has to be some kind of concession. There has to be, I'm willing to meet them halfway. They're not willing to budge at all. I've been pleading with them for some kind of, just humanity over it, and they have said no.
All right, we get the picture.
Okay.
That water line, which is not recorded anyplace, probably predates the township taking over responsibility for Mount Tabor
Yes.
and its roads. So the
Yes.
township would have no knowledge of that pipe being there either. It's not your fault, and it actually is not the township's fault either. That was done before we were responsible for Mount Tabor roads. Mayor, maybe we could have our township engineer look at that and see if there is a solution that will help the resident and not harm him. Maybe run a new, we have water lines on the street where he lives, tap in there and not, and dead end the one that's leaking, under two properties that we didn't even know about.
Well, there's a couple of things, as James probably knows, is that, the water line running into under his neighbor, his neighbor, Bob, right? Bob didn't know that there was a water line underneath his, because when he bought the property, there's no easement. So it's not uncommon in older parts of the state, not just in Mount Tabor, Orange, or in Parsippany, where people just whacked into people's water lines and many of the lakefront communities are common. You have this spaghetti of, I'm just gonna tap into your water line, and you're like, hey, that's fine, I don't care. You pop a meter in there, and there are meters all over the place. Our concern, Sean's concern, I'm sure Jim will let me practice law, is getting involved in, it's essentially a private property matter. And
That's right.
We wanna, that whole area is a mess, and we're working on a solution, we just haven't come up with one.
Well, the
and there is no
solution
water
seems
line.
to be
There is no water line.
dead end that water line and allow them taps into the street in front of their house.
There is no water line in the street in front
No,
of
there
their
is
house.
none. That's
There is
why-
You're talking about digging an entirely new water line
Oh, really?
in the street in front of their house to
But
extend
We
to,
wouldn't be the only house affected by that law.
again,
Three
that,
other houses.
that's
three other
what we're
houses
talking
at the
about.
beginning of the street, would be, directly enhanced by having that line tap in. Off the, on Wesley and Heading, there's a fire hydrant. And it's 300 feet down, but it's doable to my house. And I'm willing to make, I'm willing to pay, more than my fair share, but they were talking something around 70 grand. And that,
300 feet of municipal water line is expensive.
yeah, especially through my neighbor's property.
Well, not just, now we're talking about down the street, we're talking about
Right.
tearing up the asphalt, the whole, and the engineering, yes, that's,
However, we have a wall issue too. I don't know. if-
yes, I know about the wall, so
Yeah,
it's not just, so
stone
for
wall.
the council, it's not just going into that, there's also a steep grade, he talked about in his initial comment, it's 13 feet underneath.
Very, very deep, yeah.
That's a big hole. That's a
So
big
can-
hole.
Can we protect him from having his water turned off while we come to some sort of agreement?
Something has to be done to help this family.
That's the easy part, but the long-term solution is a little more challenging
Be
for the
that as it
council.
may, I think it would provide him and his family some peace of mind to hear you say that.
And the cost is
Well, but we-
astronomical.
Right, but we'd also be helping three other families, three other homes at the beginning of the block.
And the contractor that did the work wants no responsibility whatsoever.
I have his name, Remax, he got a 3.2 rating out of 5. I don't know, I don't have the ratings.
Is there,
Was that contractor a township contractor?
Contracted by the town?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we improved the roads and the drainage.
There.
Right, yeah.
So.
It's an ongoing project for us.
If you haven't done so and you think the contractor damaged your water line, you should file a tort claim notice. That's the first thing you should do.
Against the contractor?
No, against the township.
Oh.
All right, because
I
it was
work
our,
for the township.
it was
I
our,
live in
con-
the
it doesn't
township.
matter, sir.
Doesn't
It was
matter.
our-
So-
Doesn't matter, this is how you can get it paid for.
Right.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Tort,
Yes.
Just call my
Tort
office.
claim notice, you talked
It
to
doesn't mean you
Claude
hate
Love's-
us. It doesn't mean you don't like the town. I understand and respect that you as an employee and someone who loves the town doesn't want to file a tort claim against it, but if you want to get this paid for and not have it come out of your pocket, this is what you'll have to do. This is why we have insurance.
Right. The other,
Okay, I can't believe I'm encouraging this, but, as Councilmember Peterson said, I mean, we can't have you in this situation, so.
and we
Talk with
can't,
the clerk and help you tomorrow
we
morning.
can't guarantee you that we're gonna pay for it, but you need to file the notice.
You need to
Right.
begin that process, yes.
The other thing that I think is a potential solution here is that, perhaps we need to talk to engineering and administration about this, but there is an opportunity under the law to do something called a local assessment, where we could extend water service and then assess each of the benefiting property owners. And then, that cost is then recovered over time, usually either 5 or 10 years.
Can I see a copy of legislation like that, Jim?
Sure.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, that's the Local Improvement Act, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's not used very often, but that is possible. And we would have to talk to engineering about that. There may be other issues about extending
Yeah,
a
that's
water
right.
line, for dead-end service.
yeah.
Okay?
That would be similar to the conversation that we started at the Pudding Stone improvement and then
Correct, that's right.
didn't do, correct.
Right.
Like, Councilwoman Peterson said, though, can we at least make sure that his water's not gonna be turned off and he's gonna be in his house with no water and,
I'll talk to John and Sean and
Right. So there are
Okay.
just two obvious issues. One, as I understand it, the line is currently leaking, and it's leaking before the meter, which
Correct.
means that we don't get paid for any of the water that's leaking.
Okay.
I don't know the extent of the leaking.
We can
1 year
add it to the
ago,
tort.
I had
But
a
it-
Renai tankless water heater installed in my house, and my water heater,
Right.
broke, and my plumber said there's nothing wrong with your system. So, but they say they hear a leak.
Right, they can hear it,
I
right,
understand
through the
it's
scope.
technology that's
Right.
beyond my-
Right, and then, one of the issues associated with the leak is that if it is leaking and it's making its way to ground, we don't want to create any icing conditions on
Right.
roads. Right, or on sidewalks, if there are sidewalks out here.
Yeah, you can actually hear the water running through the pipe with the meter off.
Correct.
It's like listening to the toilet in your house.
Right.
You can hear it running.
When they put up the, right where my water main is, my line attaches to the water main, they put 3 B inlets, which are catch basins where
Sure,
stormwater
yeah, right,
runs along the curb and then goes in and it's piped out.
right,
Now, working for the sewer utility, we do not combine the sewer water with stormwater.
right, for everyone.
Two different systems.
Mhm.
And they put 3 B inlets right near my water main where my water line attaches to the water main. I know they ripped it up, okay? They denied doing it, but they did it, and my neighbors witnessed it, and they was flooding. And we had brackish water. My wife felt the vibrations. They had an excavator, a backhoe, a payloader, and
Sure.
several dump trucks,
So
heavy equipment.
when you file your
for
tort
rock.
claim notice, you can explain all that, all right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, we can't act as your attorney here, but one thing that you may want to do is you may want to talk to the Camp Meeting Association, because the Camp Meeting Association actually owns all the property. I think
That's where I got
most,
the maps.
right, most people in Tabor, not all, but most people, usually have a 99-year proprietary lease on their property. So you may want to address some of your complaint to the Camp Meeting Association, because they may be the owner of all the property here. I don't know that for sure without doing a title search.
Okay. So we have 2 action items, and we're going to let you go for the night. We're going to
Well,
look on
maybe
our
we-
end about getting you to keep your water on. We're going to look into, that's going to be temporary, okay? And second, you have an action item to come see the clerk tomorrow, and he can point you in the right direction to file your tort claim. That is the clerk.
Can't we look into,
You got it.
the contractor that potentially broke the pipe? Can we look back and see if there's still a,
That the tort claim will
bring
initiate
that out?
that. Yes, it will.
okay, thank you.
We want to be uniform. This is an odd situation, because normally when it's on a person's property, it's going to cross to somebody else's property.
I mean, even where we are down there, there's all sorts of like
Yeah,
weird. God only knows.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Hardik Gandhi. I live at 30 Marcella Road in Parsippany, New Jersey. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
I've been a Parsippany resident since 2009. Love the neighborhood. I've also attracted a lot of my friends because I love living here to come and join me living in Parsippany area. Obviously, I'm here to talk about the proposed the tax increase, property tax increase. Right after I moved to Parsippany, there was a cap being placed in property tax increase by the governor that limited to what the property tax increase can be. However, when I hear that the tax increase this year is going to be about 4.28%, that is at least being proposed, I want to raise my objection as a resident of Parsippany. And when I look at the website, it says 4.28% tax increase means $202 average. Again, I don't know. I don't know a property that is valued so low and have so little tax, unless you are adding the apartments and everything into it. For me, it means $500 roughly, right? If you look at the total, what tax I pay today. I understand that with the pandemic, there's some revenue might have suffered throughout the township, but increasing the tax cannot be the only way. As you guys manage the township budget, you should look to find other ways to raise the revenue, cut cost. Raising taxes, I mean, New Jersey is one of the top 3 states where people are moving out from because of the high taxes that we pay, right? It was actually number 1, but because of the pandemic, New York has saved us because they moved in here. They went from worse to bad. So what I'm here to say is, I would like to the council, the mayor, to consider other alternatives to not raise the tax by 4.28%, but something what was normal before, which is around the 2%, that was a cap, from what I remember, to stay that way and find other ways to manage the shortfall.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mahesh Prajapati, 31 Marcella Road, Parsippany, New Jersey. So I have similar concern too about the tax raise, and yeah, it's like nominal increase. It's okay, like how it's like our wages are also increasing due to pandemic. Like last year it didn't increase. I see the pattern. Before, pandemic, it's stretching so much, everybody hates it, like, I get it, but our wages are also not increasing that much. Like, it's kind of freeze, wage increase freeze, literally. There is not gonna be, like, my salary 2 years before, and I'm not just saying, mine, like, I see, so there are some old, I'm here to represent, a couple of my old age neighbors also. And they are also when they heard this, unfortunately, they can't even come here. That's another big, but bottom line is our salaries are not increasing. And the taxes is going to increase 4.5%. So as a resident, it's really painful to digest this. And guess what, next year it will be 2%, this will be the new baseline, and then the 2% on top of this. So please, can we do something better, somewhere in the budget, do something so that at least cut the cost somehow, or increase the revenue somehow, or you guys know best, I'm sure. I have total faith, total trust. But please, can we do something so that it won't be that much increase? That's the request I have.
Okay, thank you.
And a quick question, maybe attorney may help or somebody could help here. So what's the cap? Is there any cap on the increment of I vaguely I could recall is Governor Chris Christie had some kind of cap was below 2. It has to be below 2% or anything like that.
So there were actually two caps, right? There's a tax levy cap and there's an appropriations cap. 2% on appropriations, and one with authorization 3.5 on tax levy?
That is correct.
Right. So, and there are some exclusions in the cap. There are some things that fall outside a cap. So that explains how you can have a aggregate tax increase above 2%. So there are certain costs that are within cap and certain costs that are without a cap.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, council. I gave other people opportunity to talk, but I'm going to follow up on Debbie Pollock's garbage talk. I'm her neighbor. We live in the same powder mill, as the mayor knows.
Sir, could you state your name for the record?
Sorry, Edward Sudit, 31 Dunnerdale Road in Powder Mill. To follow up on Debbie Pollock's comment, it would be great to have township-issued garbage cans. I know it's an investment, but in the long run, it will save money because you don't need as many people picking up the garbage. And I have full respect for them.
Agreed.
And I do have full respect for what they do. It's how they do it. Because I walk every single morning with my daughter. Debbie knows that. And we do see what happens when they collect the garbage. And a lot of times they don't pick up the can and toss it into the truck. For whatever reason, they decide to open the lid and take the bags out, which, as you know, will tear in the process. And as that bag is getting tossed into the truck, maybe half of it makes it. The other half stays, and we have to rely on the neighbors to come and clean up, which a lot of them do and a lot of them don't. So to Debbie's point, can some kind of fines be issued? And then on top of that, we do have some neighbors in our neighborhood who don't realize that the town isn't picking up their garbage 2 weeks later. For example, things like TVs or a treadmill, or, if it's there after 2 pickups and it's still there, bring it home or get a fine, something like that, because and like Debbie said, it's a great neighborhood. We're paying ridiculous amounts of taxes already. And every morning when my daughter and I walk, it's just not a pleasant scene.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So don't we have anyone that goes out and looks at this and sees if there's garbage on the side of the road or something being left out for any period of time?
Yes.
We do?
We do?
Well,
Yes, but I will bring it up to Jim. So, rather large town, and, we go on complaints and sanitation, we have inspectors, the health department goes out and looks at, these guys who, predominantly are the health department guys who go out because it's a health issue, the trash, because it's the vermin. But I'll have a conversation with Jim to go and see what we can do. I will tell the council that, the one-armed bandit or the one-armed trash trucks are a great resource for your trash. The cost is astronomical.
Who would pay for that?
We would.
Right, as a
Yes,
tax increase, yes?
absolutely. I
Okay,
mean,
I was just checking.
we've listened to the concerns of the residents on the tax rate. You start talking about bringing in the one-armed trash trucks.
Very expensive.
Yes, and then issuing a free garbage can, because you can't buy those at Home Depot.
Yeah, they're all
Now, they come in different sizes, big ones, for people who only have like one bag of trash, you can get a 30-gallon garbage can. It's very small, it's easy to wheel around instead of the 55-gallon monster, but it's still expensive.
And just say that this has been an ongoing problem for a long time.
Yeah.
It's brought up repeatedly, year after year, and I think, I understand that that's expensive, but at some point, we've got to work toward those things. First, they create efficiencies, and they reduce costs, so it helps with taxes when you reduce your costs. So, I think it's not only a fact of raising taxes, it's also efficiencies in spending. And these things have to begin to be implemented at some time. I don't know when that time is, but I know that this has been an issue year after year, I know since I've been on council.
Yep.
I think the not lifting the can and dumping it into the back of the truck, I feel like that's an OSHA protection for workers not lifting weight above a certain amount, and lifting each individual bag protects somebody from straining.
The insurance companies like it because it saves us a lot of money in health insurance.
So it's not without reason that that's the method.
No, it's absolutely not. It's not, I will tell you that in a previous town, because of the narrowness of the streets, where you couldn't park in Perth Amboy anywhere without actually blocking the traffic, they had to use the one-armed bandits because you just couldn't get the trash truck anywhere in there. But, when the trash truck went down the road, because of the arm, it blocked traffic. There was no way around it until that trash truck went by. It was very efficient. Our workers' comp from back injuries went down, but the trade-off was, it was a long-term capital investment in the town. Okay.
Do we ever find?
I haven't had that conversation yet, but, I have to find out. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but, I've had that conversation with the Public Works guys, and,
Well, it would help revenue.
Perhaps some of the people that are putting out these large articles, treadmills, so forth and so on, perhaps they're not aware that they have to call up and schedule an appointment to have these items picked up. Maybe that's something that our DPW workers, when they see this on the street for over a week or 2 weeks, put a sticker on, call this number for this item to be picked up. Maybe that will also help.
Yeah, that's a good idea, but to their point, I think if you see something sitting out there for 2 weeks, there's a good chance they're not picking it up.
Right, exactly.
Unless somebody wants to use the treadmill.
Right.
But other
I
than
feel like
that,
I've seen orange stickers stuck
Yeah.
on TVs and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
yes.
Yeah, that probably just says free.
I said I need a treadmill. I'm gonna drive over to
The
Providence.
township does pick up white goods if you call first. If you have a washing machine that you're throwing out, or something like the old refrigerator, small refrigerator, if you call them up, they'll tell you what day to put it out. They have a special truck that comes and picks those heavy items up. We do have that service, but some people just put them outside and they don't know they should call.
It's only on the back of the township calendar.
It is, it's on the calendar too, right.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
the-
just anywhere for anybody who wants like to look. I would rather not do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
well, to Loretta, to Council Member Grignani's point, I think that's a good idea, that the sanitation department should be putting these stickers on that when they see it sitting out there and bring attention to it.
Okay. Next, Adam?
Good evening, yes, Adam McGovern, 87 St. John's Avenue. Just as an FYI on the, from my own perspective on the trash situation, the guys who come to my neighborhood, they lift the cans up and dump it, and you will definitely get a sticker if it's over that weight.
50 pounds or 55?
Yeah, I've gotten stickers on stuff I wasn't even meaning to throw out sometimes. So they're diligent. I don't know if it's the same, contractors all over town, but maybe, some of them need a talking to. I also wanted to thank all of you, Mayor and Council, for standing fast on the plastic ban. I think that, when somebody with a vested interest, like the gentleman who called in, says, oh, we need more time, I think they'd just be back here 7-8 months from now saying we need more time. So I thank you all for standing fast on that. As to the taxes, people are getting up and asking, what can you do to minimize this? Unfortunately, I think that, the vote that you took 2 weeks ago helped cause the problem. I think that the 1.1 million, which is not a lot and not an amount that we couldn't get, expect to get back soon, to have that on the table and and reject it, I think was a big mistake. It seems to be what has doubled what would have been a very sustainable and affordable tax increase. So if there's any way to reconsider that, I would really recommend it because, it's not a new thing that you have to do. It's money that was already on the table. One thing that people haven't mentioned also is the salt deduction, which still doesn't apply to us. The current regime in Washington hasn't had a chance to, hasn't succeeded in reversing that. So, as our taxes increase, the more of us are losing money and essentially getting their taxes raised federal and local, by the fact that salt deduction was taken away, and you're raising our taxes. So I my question is, what do you plan to do to ameliorate this tax raise, and also, can, amongst the possible solutions, can the rejection of the 1.1 million be reconsidered? Because, I agree with Mr. Griffey that it was a mistake to begin with to reject that. That's the end.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's any desire on the Township Council to reverse it.
Hello, Councilman. My name is Ronak Shah. I live at 60 Roosevelt Avenue, Lake Hiawatha. I'm here basically to talk about a couple of things. The first one is basically, as the gentleman before mentioned about the sanitation. What I would like to know from the council, do we have a scheduled sanitation, for a street sweeping? Because where I live, it's a beautiful street right above Beverwick Road. But, I've been living here for 5 years, and I hardly have seen probably 5 times, like a sweeping truck coming in and, doing the sweeping, So it's something maybe, as the new year is coming in, something that we can put in the calendar so the residents are aware that, yes, street sweeping is going to be on, so they can take their car from the driveway and basically, it looks beautiful. Something to consider, as first point I want to raise for this evening. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And the second point, of course, along the line of the taxes, right? So, I'm basically not either in favor or opposed of the property taxes, but as a Parsippany resident, what I would like to see that, when we basically put these taxes to the town's betterment, it should be looking really visible, right? So, I have friends visiting me from Long Island, Westchester, coming right off 80, when sometimes they make a wrong exit and they enter to Montville. And when they pass to the town, they say, oh, this is a beautiful town, right? Because you see the taxes being worked upon there, and the town gets a good feeling, But as they come down to exit 47, it's Parsippany exit, it kind of see a huge difference, right? So something, I'm really, again, not in favor or opposing the taxes, but something, when the councilman, determines that, yeah, this is the taxes that we are going to put on the Parsippany resident, I would expect this to be having a real effect, it's like a good feel effect for people coming into the town. Say, oh yeah, this is a beautiful town, yes, and it is, whatever the tax is being used, it's basically put to the effect for the betterment of the residents, So something to bring to the council's, attention this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
By the way, it's my understanding that we street sweep every Friday on North Beverwick Road. But I'm going to look into that to make sure that's still happening, because I think that might have been cut back in the beginning of the summer. Well, when we were concerned about, expenses.
Especially right after Railroad.
I know exactly which area you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, like in 5 years or 6 months.
Okay, that was just an information point then, but thank you.
I was going to bring up, I had received complaints about the Lake Hiawatha area that garbage is dropped and not picked up this evening. But just 2 days ago, I saw DPW people there cleaning up the sidewalk on North Bevick Road. So I decided not to say anything tonight. Yes.
Myself, Vaishali Sharma. Hello, everyone.
Speak, lower the microphone a little bit so we can hear you.
You can touch it, it's all right.
You can pick it up, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Vaishali Sharma. I'm here, I live in 61 Summit Road, Parsippany, and I'm also here for the same thing, for the tax hike. So it's like every year, we pay 2%, it's fine. And I have rental properties too. So it's pinching us more when we heard it's going to be 4.28%. So that will be too much. And it's not like that utilities are also increasing, like water and sewer. That is, from last year, it's been raising like anything. So if something can be done, it will be really nice for these residents. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, your turn.
Okay, my name is Bob Venezia. I live at 102 Brooklawn Drive. And I was here last night listening to the budget discussion, and I was especially interested in the $800,000 transfer from the tax appeal reserve to the general budget. My first impression is we're repeating the same mistake that we made with the water and the sewer. We're borrowing from funds, and we don't know if we're going to be able to replace them later on. Now, there's no doubt in my mind that that it's not going to cause a problem this year borrowing that money, but this fund is not just for 2021, it's going to have to be able to provide monies for if there's adverse appeals in 22, 20, and beyond. And I think this is, Councilmember McCarthy brought this up, that, what's going to happen to that tax appeal fund if the money's needed in subsequent years. There's also a second problem with, with that money, and that is, it's that money, the 800,000 is being used to buy goods and services in the general budget. What happens in 2022 to the general budget, to that, how are you going to pay for that $800,000 goods and services? You're not going to be able to transfer the money from tax appeal, from that reserve. Are you going to cut the 800,000? It just seems like we're starting this whole. It's a different fund that we're tapping, but it amounts to the same thing. And I think the auditor mentioned that it's time to start thinking about taking measures now for next year. And I think some of the council members have said the same thing at recent meetings, but this tapping any reserve, we got to find a way. We got to put an end to it. So,
Well, actually, Bob, the 1.1 million that they were talking about.
That's another one.
That's
another one that, if we tapped it, it's just kicking the can down the road again.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the term I used.
Yeah,
It's what?
that's Mike's.
That's the term I used.
oh, kicking the can. So, that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Okay, floor is closed.
Ordinance 2021-15, calendar year 2021, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank. The notice for the ordinance 2021:15 was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on August 6, 2021, and introduced at the August 3, 2021 regular meeting. Motion to accept ordinance 2021:15.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Floor is open to the public on this ordinance only.
Seeing no one come forward, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and hearing held thereon, now therefore be resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that the notice of the final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Introduction. Ordinance 2021:17, establishing white-collar salary ranges. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August the 17th, 2021, and that said ordinance been further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September the 21st, 2021, at 7 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution by myself.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2021:18, ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, amending Chapter 405, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 21, One-Way Streets of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, held on August 17th, 2021, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 21st, 2021, at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution by myself.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2021:19, bond ordinance providing for various improvements to the golf utility in and by the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $520,700 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $520,700 of bonds or notes of the township to finance the cost thereof. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 17, 2021, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 7, 2021 at 7 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached, the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Mr. Karifi. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2021:20, bond ordinance providing for various improvements to the water utility in and by the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $12,700,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $12,700,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance the cost thereof. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced and read by title and passed on the first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 17, 2021, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at the meeting to be held on September 7, 2021, at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached, at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Before I read the next ordinance, the amount of money shown for the library is $2,063,000. I believe you mentioned to me, Mr. Carr, that we've already received monies.
There is a previous bond passed by council, I'll say before Fred and won, for about $1.4 million that we're currently using right now, which is part of that $3 million. So this, plus the bond that's outstanding, is our match.
Okay, and that's the money, 3 million is the money that the library will be asking the state
So
to
the-
match.
our match is that,
Yes,
is that
okay.
current bond on right here and the one we already have. correct?
Okay,
Those
thank
two bonds are the numbers.
Thank you.
In
But-
fact, for the council information, we're currently using that bond as we speak to pay for the architect and some of those things that were at the library, is all part of that $6 million project cost.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 2021:21, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and by the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $6,180,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5,880,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August the 17th, 2021, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September the 7th, 2021, at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution by myself.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Ms. Grignani. Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Council President, Jim, a matter of law, in the event that the state requires that the ordinance is read and adopted prior to the 1st of September, and we are forced to have a special council meeting, I think Colette and I did the math, it's like Monday the 28th or something like that. the fact that our notice will change. Our notice that in our ordinance will change. I would think that we should wait until we get an answer to see if our notice in the paper,
Well,
based on what we say here.
we have the 23rd and the 30th on Mondays.
We have, well, the 23rd
But
is
we have to
insufficient
notice for
time, we
the
have 10
public
days.
hearing, we have to set a date certain at the time that we introduce for the public hearing.
Correct, so what happens if we have to change it?
Well, you're gonna have to amend the ordinance. And if there's not gonna be enough time to do that. What?
I would recommend that if that be the case, and that's why I asked, that we just, right now, bite the bullet, meet on Monday, pass the ordinance, end of conversation.
Well, you have to have 10 days between first reading and second reading.
I'm talking Monday the 28th.
Monday 28th, you would have 10 days, right?
That's the math that Colette and I were doing.
Monday is not, the 28th is not a Monday,
Which Monday?
the 30th.
30th as it is, 30th it is. Then
That's what
council, I would
gonna
ask,
suggest.
as a fail-safe, as a fail-safe, we have a meeting to adopt this ordinance, and then the library is good to hook.
Right.
I only ask that we do need 4 council members present, be it virtually or otherwise, to pass the ordinance.
Is everybody available on the 30th?
Well, I was gonna ask if we can do it virtually.
We can do, you can call in, but you gotta be here the whole time.
Right. And then we would notice that for a special meeting on the 30th then.
So how's the meeting is gonna be, so Emily's gonna be calling in? Anyone else calling in? I thought I heard Janice say she needs to call in.
I will be here.
I'll be here.
You'll be here? Janice?
I'll call in.
You'll call in? Okay, and then Paul?
I can be here.
Okay.
What time, 7 again?
Why don't we do it at,
6:30.
I would even do it if you guys are available at 6.
Shoot.
You wanna do it
It's
at
not gonna
6?
take very long.
Yeah.
6 good for everybody?
It should be literally like 5 minutes.
Okay,
So, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock on the 30th.
I will,
Administrator, there's one other technical detail, which I don't think is going to be a problem, and that is that the estoppel period on the ordinance hadn't run yet. But
I think proof that we've passed it is
It's
sufficient.
probably sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, the estoppel period is the, because it'll be 20 days after date of publication, yada, 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 but I
Correct.
think the ordinance is there, we've passed it.
Right.
It is
It's
what it is.
effective.
Correct, it is
Subject
effective.
to challenge.
I think that would be sufficient for the library, board.
Okay, so we'll advertise and plan for this meeting, but if the letter works, if we're gonna write the letter,
I was just gonna ask that.
signed
Then we
by the
cancel.
mayor and myself, if that suffices, we can cancel this meeting.
no problem.
Yes, if we can cancel the meeting and then we'll re-advertise for the 7th, just like normal.
Correct.
We'll have more than sufficient time. My concern, Council President, is that if next week comes and goes and it's insufficient, the letter is insufficient, then we don't have enough time to notice for the ordinance by the 1st of September.
Go the safe route.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
the
So we
fail-
scheduled the meeting for the 30th, that's a
Correct.
safe route.
That's the
We're
safe
We're
route.
doing that.
That's
But if we
But I
don't
would
need to
still
do it,
like
we
us
can
to do the
cancel.
letter too.
Yes.
Right. And your
Who's gonna
ordinance,
prepare the letter?
You.
Colette,
Colette, you gotta prepare the letter.
If you'd like, I can prepare it, or I
Okay.
can,
I spoke first.
and your
I
ordinance.
voted him first.
Your ordinance tonight should set the notice date for the 30th.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Do we need to amend that ordinance? Because I think it was read.
No.
No.
Why would
Read
we
by
need to
title.
amend it?
Was that by title?
The ordinance is the one that they're looking
Oh.
for.
Right. By title only, I got it. Okay.
Okay,
We're good to move on?
yep, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, Paul.
Second reading and public hearing,
Thank you.
ordinance 2021:16, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 290 Parks, Recreation Areas, and Public Lands to permit mobile food vending at the Knoll Country Club. The notice for ordinance 2021:16 was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on August 6, 2021, and introduced at the August 3rd, 2021 regular meeting. Motion to accept ordinance 2021:16 be heard in the second and final reading by title only, made by myself. Second,
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi?
yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, motion, open up the public hearing for this ordinance and this ordinance only.
second,
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
yes,
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Okay, public
See
hearing.
no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani? Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title and on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading and a notice of final passage of the said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution above for ordinance 2021-16 by myself.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Non-consent agenda, resolution 2021-135, authorize temporary emergency appropriations pursuant to NJSA 40A:44-1 et sec, the local budget law. Motion to approve the resolution above.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2021-136, support of the Mount Tabor Volunteer Fire Department, Parsippany Fire District Number 1, building dedication and wet down ceremony to be held September 25th, 2021, and authorizing of road closures and placing of no parking signs necessary for public safety during the public celebration. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved that all items listed in an asterisk are routine and non-controversial by the town council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in a normal sequence on the agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
I want to express a little bit of discomfort with number 3. I think that, I'm unclear on the implications of this, so I will abstain.
Does anybody want to explain it?
Sure.
Please.
So I asked the councilwoman, and council, I asked to place this on the agenda, as a practicing member of the League of Municipalities. There is a legislation going through the assembly, which euphemistically called the Responsible Collective Negotiations Act. I believe I sent some information to the council maybe a month or so ago. So my concern as a manager, the guy who goes into negotiations, that there are numbers of things that are negotiable, some things that are handled by the process, by union contracts at PERC. The intent of this legislation is to take that opportunity out of my hands and to take some of these things out of PERC's hands, and I fundamentally object to that.
It opens everything up to negotiations.
Everything
They
is
can open
negotiable.
anything up to negotiate.
Everything is negotiable. There's no, we're taking away management. Article 1 in every contract, my favorite one, everybody else's hate one, management prerogative to make changes that are, some are negotiable, hours of work, salaries, benefits, things like that, but some things, are not. And if you take all that away, then what's the use of having a contract?
Can you give us an example of something you would see as a non-negotiable?
Yeah.
So how about expanding the date certain when employees may opt out under the Workplace Democracy Enhancement Act? Okay, right now, under the Workplace Democracy Enhancement is my favorite. If you're a member of the union, you can only opt out of the union 7 or 14 days before your date that you joined the union. Yes, so it's a very narrow window written in there by the unions, allowing union members to say, I don't want to be in the union anymore. If you don't apply during that day to the business administrator or right, you're stuck, whether you like it or not. Okay, they don't like that. They don't want that advertised, so they're trying to get rid of that.
But fundamentally, this weakens the ability, the negotiating power of the union, and puts the negotiating power back in our hands, correct?
No.
No,
What it
just the
does,
opposite.
this legislation would weaken my power, correct?
Right, just the opposite.
It does the opposite,
It weakens management's ability to negotiate, because it opens everything up to negotiation.
Including such things as staffing levels.
Right, I think we're just
Which
talking
are-
about the inverse here. So by supporting, there's like a double negative situation. Our opposition to this is to say we want to keep the power we want to keep our negotiating power by status quo on what the unions have the ability to negotiate at this point.
We want to protect management prerogative. This takes it away.
I mean, point number two, a good example is that in the negotiation at PERC, when I go to PERC, they want to abolish the last best officer, the last best offer. So when I take the last best offer and I put it on the table at PERC, and this is really about going down to PERC and arguing with the PERC, I say, look, we're going to give you a 2%, and that's our last best offer, okay? And then it falls away, they'll go back by taking that offer off the table, they'll say, well, 3 weeks ago you said 2.5% was your offer. No. We've negotiated back and forth, and the last best offer was 2, but you want the one from 3 weeks ago. It's not as clean as they want to have it. And my problem, Councilwoman, is that, titles are misleading. The Responsible Collective Negotiations Act, to me, is like saying it's the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Like, it's not a union, and they're not socialist, okay? Or the German Democratic Republic, East Germany. There's not a democratic part in the title, but, the title's misleading, and, every time I read something like this, I'm like, this is wrong. But
From what I read, this may not pass the legislature anyway, but we want to pass this to encourage our legislators
This is
not to
just-
let it pass.
That is our consent. My ask of the council is to oppose this legislation.
And Mayor, is Governor Murphy in support of passing this legislation or opposed to it?
Don't know yet.
Can I abstain just on number 3?
You sure can.
I would like to do that, please.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Abstaining on, just on number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should learn more about this.
Agreed.
I really think we should know more about this rather than just approve it.
All right, so let's redo the vote. We had a motion by Ms. McCarthy, a second by Ms. Grignani. Roll call. Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Well, I'm suggesting that we table it until we get
No,
more.
you can table, or you can abstain, or you could no.
No.
Why don't, wait a minute. Why don't we
So-
remove number 3 from the resolution?
From
We'll
the
vote on
consent
one,
agenda, right?
we'll vote on 1 and 2.
So, Ms. McCarthy, like you were saying,
And then we'll vote on
we're
number
gonna
3
take Ms.
outside
McCarthy.
of the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll take Ms. McCarthy's motion to table.
Okay.
And who's gonna second? Mr. Karifi? Okay, roll call, Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
This is only for
Grignani.
number 3, right?
Correct.
The motion, it's just tabling it, correct.
Yes, Mr. Karifi, Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Why not?
The motion to table resolution number 3 on the consent agenda passes. Now let's go back to the previous motion, which is done by Ms. McCarthy and seconded by Ms. Grignani for resolutions 1 and 2. Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approval of payroll and bills list. A, CFO Juan Ubay recommends authorization for payment. 1, authorize payment of the August 20th, 2021 regular and miscellaneous payroll estimated at $1,650,000. 2, payment of bills from voucher list of 8/15/21 through 8/17/21 is $2,666,489.54. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Executive session resolution, whereas the Open Publics Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss contract negotiations, renewal of the School Resource Officer, SRO, in Class 3 Special Officer Salio 3, agreement with Parsippany-Troy Hills Township School District, attorney-client privilege, litigation, Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, State versus George Nader, dash summary penalty enforcement action and settlement agreement of Morris County Construction Board of Appeals matters entitled in Thomas Caltabelletta, Block 25, Lot 35, Worksite, :6, Cambridge Road, Morris Plains, New Jersey, versus Township of Parsippany, MC number 2020-7, attorney-client privilege, litigation, Superior Officer PBA 131A, Carriffy Perk Matters, and Carriffy versus Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, ETAL Carriffy 1, and Carriffy versus Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, ETAL Carriffy 4. And whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills that the public be excluded from this meeting. Motion to adjourn into closed session by myself.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Karifi, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. Karifi.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
I do want to inform the public that we do anticipate action to be taken. We will be passing Resolution 2021-134 after the closed session. At this time, we're going to go ahead and adjourn. All right, we're back on the record. Let's get a motion to go into public session, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Back in open session. Could I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. McCarthy, seconded. Oh,
Got the resolution.
that's right. It's getting late. Sorry. Good catch there, Fred.
I'm just going by.
Yeah. All right, so we got to approve a resolution. I can read it. I'll read it real quick, no problem. R 2021-134, ratifying the execution of a mutual release and settlement agreement resolving the matter of Thomas Caltabelletta versus Township of Parsippany, MC 202-7 in the Morris County Construction Board of Appeals. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion to approve by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call. Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Motion passes. Could I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Ms. Grignani? Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
We're adjourned. Have a good night.
Did you need this?
Good night.
I'll
No,
call you
that's
tomorrow
fine.
about how to get you a check.
So wait, you're tired of this?
Okay, I gotta go.
Come on.
Stop recording.